First, I'd like to welcome everyone to this grand occasion. And we have an impressive lineup of speakers, and we'll move on through that. First, I'd like to put a little context to how this idea was created for this particular site, this building. And I arrived here in 2000, early 2000. Jenser came in about 6 months later. In the tour of our system, we found a building, an entry building at a campus that it just said, we need to do this at Oshkosh as a welcome center concept. So we put it on the map. 14 years later, we're here celebrating. But due to the great work of our foundation, in concert with the university, a lot of players, we were able to christen this today. And it's already been in use for a month or so, and it's rave reviews in terms of how it's set up. But it's sometimes it takes a while, a lot of persistence on these ideas to make it happen, cooperation with the city of Oshkosh and some of the folks that were here before Mark was, and some of the planning staff, the state of Wisconsin. So it takes a lot of people to make this happen at a public institution like ours, but couldn't be done without the support of our foundation, and the president of the foundation will speak about that later. Obviously, without the leadership of Art Rathjen as the president of our foundation, it couldn't have happened. And I want to make sure we acknowledge that. He asked me to be the MC today, and I gladly accepted, but he's truly the founder of this building, if you will. So let's give him a little hand. So how do you kick off, how do you get a building like this going? First you have to find an architect, engineer of quality. And we had that, we found one. A guy by the name of Dell, and he's our first speaker today. But Dell Wilson is a person that we've worked with, a firm that we've worked with in the past in some of our university buildings, and we saw the quality work, the quality design work that his firm did. So I'd like to ask Dell to come up and talk about the effort and involvement he had here. Dell?
Good morning. Thanks, Tom. So it was 14 years. We didn't get that long. First, just before I begin, I have a couple of observations this morning, but before I begin, I just want to recognize our design team. I think there's two folks here. Is Nat here yet? There he is, Nat Stein, a young partner in the firm who spent a long effort to have this come together, and Rebecca Rodriguez right here, who's responsible for the interiors here, as well as Grafe, who's engineering consultant, KJWW, and Thunderbird Engineering. So it takes a team to do this work. Anyways, I have a couple of observations that I hope will give you a sense of why we're so proud and grateful to be part of this project. The first is about remembering history and place, and the second is about public-private partnerships. Let me start. In 1890, the land that we're standing on right now was a piece of land at Wisconsin and the Fox River. It was a lumber storage pile for the George W. Pratt's Lumber Company. In 1903, it was elevated to a lumber drying site for the Hollister and Amos Lumber Company. I'm reading a little bit because I'm terrible with dates. In 1912, it belonged to the Deltox Grass Rug Company. They made grass rugs. And in their heyday, they really employed around 500 people. Interestingly enough, the capacity of this building for education and celebration is about 500 people daily. Think about that a little bit. In 1929, Deltox ceased making grass rugs, continued making rugs. In 1968, Deltox ceased operations, and by 1984, the buildings were pretty much demolished on this site. So now we fast forward 30 years, so it takes a long time on a bare piece of ground, more than 14 years, Tom. The grand opening of a new generation facility developed by an entrepreneurial foundation. I'm going to talk about that a little a little sooner, that supports its university and its community. Prior entrepreneurs used this river as a valuable transporter, a transporter of goods, raw goods, finished goods, and as we find out today, sometimes not so good goods. The new generation today uses the river as an asset beyond transport for silent sport, environmental health, and a means of connecting the river to a broader campus ecosystem. A new generation of building that considers good views, daylight, sunlight, efficient use of resources as the essential reflection of the values of an important university. We're starting a new chapter in the history of this plot of land made possible by this little entrepreneurial foundation and all of its public and private partners. Secondly, I want to offer just a short snapshot. I'm going to tell a little story about Art, and I'm hoping he'll appreciate it. But he doesn't know exactly what I'm going to say, but we'll see how it goes. This is really about a public-private partnership and why ultimately, at least in our short experience in the 14 years, this came to pass. If you imagine in 2010, our firm did a little concept study for the state of Wisconsin, the replacement of a river conference center that was destroyed by the flood. I met Art Raston during that study, and this is probably not exactly how Art may remember this, but this is what I heard. And you know, and most of you know Art, so you'll know probably where this is going. So in July of 2012, remember that month and date, Art calls me up, says, "Del, I need you to design the new Welcome Center. You can work for the foundation." Pretty cool. We don't quite own the land yet. I have a budget, which is less than what the study we did in 2010 described. We don't quite have financing yet. We really haven't quite talked through this with the state, the city, or the DNR. We naturally want to build this to the best of state standards because someday the state may want to accept it on behalf of the university. We don't want some alternate delivery method, but a transparent and competitive public bidding process to select a good Wisconsin general contractor. And oh, by the way, we must be under construction by the end of 2012, 6 months from the date of the phone call. That'd be sick. And then he concludes that by saying, "So how do I make this happen?" I said, "Well, act of God, PEDs." But what we decided that day was the following, and I'll try to be brief about the story, that we would invoke public and private partners. And the public partners, I'll give one example. For instance, this is a site on a river, which invokes floodplain, and DNR, it's an industrial site which invokes DNR. So in the very beginning, we went to the DNR and said, we have this idea. Before we talked them into design stuff, we said, we have this idea. We need to move quickly. So if you were us and you were coming to talk to you about these problems, how would you help us think through this? Interestingly enough, they became partners and helped us go through what oftentimes is a 6 to 10 to 12 month list of things that we have to do in regulatory requirements. And we did that with the city, and we did that with the state, and we did that with the DNR, and we were able to move through those things. The second, I asked for a core leadership team, and that core team was the chancellor and Tom and Art, and they used their cabinets and their people to draw in, but at the end of the day, we had a group that could make responsible decisions and have them stick, and we set up the process so that they would make responsible decisions at the last responsible moment in our schedule. The third piece, we designed to budget. There's no room to be over budget at bid day, so we used a real-time cost modeling process. And the last thing, and this was Tom's genius, where's Joanne? It was Joanne Reif. Where's Joanne? There's Joanne. Tom loaned Joanne to Art to help manage this whole thing, and she kept us all on course and made sure that all of the parts of the campus were informed and engaged and involved. And so we were able to move very rapidly. So we closed loops efficiently and on time, and we closed them transparently. So my result of that little story is that the point I want to make is that those of us who have built in the public building university system for many years and know the trials and tribulations, I think we all believe that someday those buildings need to find a better way to recognize the intelligent and sustainable use of human capital in design of public buildings. We spend way too much time in that process, and I think Arts Foundation proved that in fact we don't have to take several years to build a building beyond when the programs become obsolete. And I think that's a very good story to tell, and I'm hoping UW Oshkosh and the foundation will kind of lead telling that story, because I think it's important in how we move forward on campuses. So I'll go back, I'm gonna transition to Corey here, but less than 6 months after the call from Art, Myron Construction won the bid for the project. Art welcomed them to the team. They commenced site work and pile driving operations in December of 2012, less than 6 months after that phone call I got from Art. And Corey and his group finished what Art started with that phone call in July 2012, on schedule and on budget, accepting that we had a very rainy spring and it's hard to plant grass in the mud. So with that, I'd like to have Corey come up and talk about how we got from the transition. Uh-oh.
Let me throw a few comments in between.
Uh-oh.
So let's give Della a hand.
Thank you.
And Dell talked a little bit about our staff here at the university, led by Joanne Reif, and she's back in the back of the room. So she took this home with her every night. So a 24-hour, 365 kind of approach to it, and we owe her a debt of thanks for that. So let's give her a hand on it. And a few other people from the university that were fully involved. Steve Arndt, our director of facilities, he recently took a job at North Carolina State, so we've lost him, and in his place now is Chuck Hermes and Joanne carrying on the duties of that group. But and he just mentioned the landscaping. So what you all need to do is kind of close your eyes a little bit, kind of bend down. You can see the water, a little bit of green. That's what this place will look like in the future. So. I'm going to ask each of you to do that. Don't forget about what the dirt looks like today, but we're going to get there. It's going to be wonderful. A couple other people in a transition to Corey here. We couldn't move through this design process into construction without the great help of Russ Reff, our attorney for the foundation. He worked us through all of the details, as many of you know, and our bankers. Bank First National, led by Mike Dempsey and Joan Walt. I'm not sure if they're here, but obviously, that's a very important part of the process, as all of you know. And the construction, the contractor. Myron Construction has been a wonderful partner for the university over the years, and as have other contractors in the area. But at one time, I believe they were doing some six projects here at the Union, the Halsey, et cetera. Our latest addition from that company. So please welcome Corey Brumbaugh, Vice President for Myron.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, and to validate what Tom was saying, I took stock of all the projects we've done for the university here over the last decade. It ended up to be 41 projects, nearly $100 million. Just an amazing number when you hear it as far as the job creations, the students that they create. So with that, on behalf of everyone at Myron, I'm truly honored to be here today with all of you to dedicate the UW Oshkosh's new Alumni Welcome and Conference Center. First of all, I'd like to thank the UW Oshkosh and the foundation for allowing us to be an integral part in this whole project. It's such an honor to oversee construction of a facility that now serves as the university's front door, as you see. I'd also like to send out a special thank you to the staff and students for your patience and understanding throughout the project, for so graciously putting up with all of our distractions, all of our dust, our dirt, and everything that takes place when you're putting up a building like this. I would be remiss if I didn't thank our project team at Myron Construction, all the way from project executive Josh Mikkelkavage, the project manager Grant Daigle, the project superintendent Brian Litton, and the project coordinator Katie Mueller. Job very well done. In addition, I'd also like to thank our architectural partners at Eline Wilson for both the vision that they provided and these stunning designs that you see here today. All I can say is what an amazing institution and community you have created here. Your commitment to extending knowledge and its application beyond the boundaries of your campuses and serving society by developing heightened intellectual, cultural, professional, technological expertise in students, as well as a serene sense of purpose, is nothing shy of a noble and impressive mission, a mission you so obviously live every day. We at Myron feel blessed to have had the opportunity to partner with such a first-class university and look forward to continuing our relationship in the future. Once again, congratulations on the dedication of your new Alumni Welcome and Conference Center. Thank you for allowing us to build your dream.
And next in our lineup is the Alumni Association, and Jim Rath is going to make a few comments. Before we get to that, though, obviously it has the name Alumni on this building, and it's to be a welcome center to bring alumni as well as new students and others. And Vice Chancellor Roeder will talk about that later. Last evening I had the opportunity to meet with a group of alums, former students here from back in the early 60s. And I think I'm actually classmates. Well, I was going to say, I believe I'm older than they are, but anyway, we have a group, they're called the Table of 10. They're led by a person, Dean Mady, who's been a wonderful ally for us here. And they have decided as a group to invest in this building, and I think that's, they're trying to show the way for a number of groups, but I don't know if you'd just like to stand, the group that we met up with last night, just to show the contribution. Thank you very much. And with that, I'd like to introduce Jim Rath.
Thank you, Tom. Wow. Talk about collaboration from what we've heard this morning, a group collaborating on this facility, Table 10 collaboration. This is pretty amazing. So good morning, everyone. On behalf of the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh Alumni Association and our 83,000 plus alumni, that number will be going up tomorrow, by the way. I am so pleased to welcome all of you here today to our university's new front door. Our home base, our campus, home away from home. And what a beautiful new home this is we have here in the Alumni Welcome and Conference Center. In the few short weeks since we opened the doors, this facility has already drawn alumni, faculty, and students, friends from the local community together for business meetings, economic development programs, university honors and award activities, a high school prom, and a wedding of one of our alumni board members. And there is so much more scheduled through the spring and summer. The bright, contemporary space is just perfect for such engagement activities. For your business, corporate, or social settings, or social gatherings, this is the place to be. So we invite you to tour later today and to come back often. Parking is easy and meeting space is abundant. I also want to invite all of you back for homecoming on October 17th and 18th. This center will be our home base for all homecoming activities this fall and for years to come. I'm sure I will see many of you then because I know you all agree there's no place like home. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next in our lineup is the president of our foundation, Tim Malloy. And Tim, the foundation of itself, as we, the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, move forward in our plan, not only with buildings, but with scholarships and programs, what a tremendous foundation organization we have here that has been willing to help us with many, many endeavors. You've heard all of the biodigester discussion here, but that was something that was supported by our foundation. And without the leadership of that group, we wouldn't have these kinds of assets for our students and our faculty and staff. But please welcome Tim Malloy to talk about their involvement here.
Thank you, Tom. Good morning again. Tom talks about the foundation. We might be a little bit out there on the edge with some of our projects when we compare ourselves to our peer groups. When I attend some meetings with some of our other foundations around the state, they wonder how we're doing what we're doing, but we're doing it very well, and thank you, Russ, for keeping us out of trouble through the process here. So it's another exciting day here at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, and especially for the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh Foundation. For this university, the Alumni Conference and Welcome Center is representative, of course, of our new front door, but it's also representative of the university we've become in the past several years. UW-Oshkosh has grown and expanded, and it really is a place we should all be proud of, to live, work, visit, or learn. We're leading the way on this beautiful campus with many new facilities, as we've already mentioned, which are aimed at attracting the next generation of students while simultaneously remaining a home for our alumni and partners in our community. This state-of-the-art building is representative of what can be done with a lot of hard work, teamwork, and collaboration. It's also representative of what can be done under supportive leadership and a shared vision. I'd like to personally thank Art Rathjen, our foundation president, for his visionary and collaborative leadership of our UW-Oshkosh Foundation. Thank you, Art. Forest Chancellor Wells for his never-ending support of all our little initiatives, as well as the entire advancement division, especially Becky Payne, Sabina Schissel, Cassie Shear, Don O'Brien, Laura Rommelfanger, Chris Gantner, Doug Jarmus, Al Hartman, and so many others for their dedication to this project. Art and his team from day one have seen what this forward-thinking facility would offer to our campus and our greater community. From now on, this beautiful welcome and conference center, where so many events and memories are going to take place in the years that follow, is going to help shape the story and welcome all to UW-Oshkosh. Lastly, cannot help but acknowledge how personally proud I am to be standing here at the front of this beautiful building on behalf of the foundation. It's beautiful, it's sensationally cool, and UW-Oshkosh is very lucky to call this its new front door. On behalf of the entire foundation board of directors, one last thank you to all involved in making this space a dynamic engagement center and welcoming hub for our university and the greater Oshkosh community. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. I know we have a number of members of the board or former members in attendance, and I think we'd like to acknowledge those members if they'd please stand, if they're able. Excuse me. We could not do this project without the support of the state of Wisconsin. We work in concert with our UW System Office, the Board of Regents, and the state of Wisconsin Division of State Facilities, as well as our local leadership. And we have, certainly Gordon Hintz will be speaking in a few minutes. Senator Gudex is in attendance as well. And, but this is, as Dell mentioned before, when we build buildings here, if there's a process that might be outside of the state, in other words, a foundation project, we build it to the same standards as the state of Wisconsin building, because at some point it may be transferred, gifted to the state, and it has to stand the same, to be at the same standards. And so it's a very important process for us. And so we have a lot of good people we work with down at the state facilities. The director at this point, the leader there is Summer Strand, and certainly Department of Administration Secretary Mike Kipsch. But representing the state of Wisconsin, Gordon Hintz.
Thank you, Tom. I'm a proud representative of the 54th Assembly District, and the third largest university in the state. And today is another great day, not just as a representative of the university, but a representative of the Oshkosh community. I'm someone whose parents moved here to teach at the university in 1973, and I was born shortly after that. And so watching the evolution of this campus and our riverfront really recognize the kind of asset that this is. And I know there's a lot of people in the room from the community here today. I was talking to a friend earlier who said, well, you know, my dad used to work at the Deltox plant. And so we can think about this facility that we're here to dedicate today on a number of different levels. I'm also a member of the State Building Commission, as Tom mentioned, and it's been a real privilege to work with you know, people that really have a vision, that lay out a plan for not just the days of throwing up another building are sort of gone, but think about things as how can we better enhance the community, better enhance the region? How can we go beyond just higher education to make sure we're doing something that's innovative, that can be multi-purpose, that isn't just for the classroom, but that expands beyond this? And I can say, in my time in Oshkosh, I don't think I've ever seen the community partnership between university leaders, city, county, regional leaders better than it's been today. And this is another one of these facilities. It's been kind of incredible to be on the building commission at a time when we've had the first new academic building in 40 years, a rec and wellness center that makes this a real destination that students come here and say, you know, I want to go to school here, I want to learn here. First class suite style dormitory projects, and I'd say maybe one of the best looking parking garages I've ever seen. we even get that right. But we innovate because we have to. I mean, not just can a building not be for single purpose anymore, but everything that you know, we have to do to remain competitive economically requires that we have that kind of vision and dedication. And for our community to have another resource like this, and I feel like even though the dedications today, I mean, they've been up and running as soon as it was a code. I've been to a couple of events here already where we brought in speakers, and I think this is the kind of place that can be used for weddings, can be used for speakers, can be used for the environment, and can be a real hub for our region. So it's just another asset for this community, and I'm really grateful to work with the partners that we've had at the foundation and Chancellor Wells and a number of the others that have worked on it. These things just don't happen. I think that's the other important thing to consider. You know, I don't know if I knew that it was 14 years, but we wanted to retake the property. We wanted to have something for the alumni, but that was also sort of a gateway and a welcome, and we wanted the facility be used year-round. It takes leadership, and I know that you know, as we kind of, maybe this is another one of the parts of the Chancellor Wells's legacy, but I know we've been really fortunate to have his leadership here on campus for the past 14 years, but also Tom Sundleitner and Art Rathjen and Tim Malloy. It was a real, 2 months ago, they all came down to Madison to gift this project, which was not funded with tax dollars, to the state of Wisconsin. And you know, Governor Walker gladly accepted, and we took some photos, and I think when they all get a chance to visit, they're going to be really impressed. So I'm thankful for all the leadership and support and vision, and this is a great day for the region, UW Oshkosh, and the city of Oshkosh. Thank you.
And that's a great lead-in to our next speaker. It's very important to have the town and gown relationship, university, city, citizens, and the current leadership at the city of Oshkosh has embraced that with us. They've worked with us, not that he's approved everything, but you know, we're working on just a few things, that's it. But no, it's Mark Roloff and his team have, and the university, the chancellor, myself, and Art have had a great relationship to bring these kinds of buildings apart. We're trying to reclaim the river like every city is. And I think that hopefully what we're doing here will allow other projects to occur in the city along the river. And with that, I'd like to introduce Mark Roloff.
Thank you, Tom. You really don't have the advantage that the speakers do. Looking outside the windows here, it's just an outstanding view. And boy, how'd you get this land, by the way, Tom? No, it's interesting. One of the advantages of being a speaker later in the conversation here is that a lot of things get repeated, so you've really shortened my speech. The other advantage is you learn a lot of things, a little bit of history. Thank you, Del, for giving me some Oshkosh history. But today, really what I wanted to talk about is, there was another talk about shared vision, but it's sharing visions that we have, that the university and the city have been doing for many years now. Sharing our visions get us to understand what each of us needs in order for us to prosper, what the university needs to prosper, what the city needs to prosper. And I think this Alumni Welcome Center is just one testament to the sharing of our visions that we have for our communities. This is a great day for the university, and I'm so happy and proud for the university. But this is also a great day for the city, because what we've done along the riverfront is nothing short of outstanding, and it's because of everybody's collaboration. It's not any one organization. It's not any one governmental entity. It's public, it's private, because between this Alumni Welcome Center and the Leach Amphitheater is an incredible amount of private investment that people have placed trust in our community because they've bought into the sharing of visions, which becomes one larger shared vision for our community. The work we've done along the riverfront, when I say we, I mean all of us. And the university's been a tremendous part of that, and not just here. We had a discussion, and I'm always cautious when, you use Tom and Chancellor and Art, that three, it's like a double play team. You got to worry when they're coming to see you, and when the Chancellor puts his arm around you and says, Mark, I want to share with you my vision. You know what I'm talking about. But that sharing of vision is so helpful, because what's happened along the riverfront started many years ago, as Del said. And one of my predecessors, Bill Free, is in the audience today. This vision started when I think even before, Bill, you were a city manager, because you mentioned the Del Tax site was finally done in '84. Bill got here in '76. These visions have been shared for generations, and they need to get passed on, because they don't always get done with one administration or one group of people. It's carrying on that vision. So those of you who are part of the foundation board who never gave up on wanting a great front porch for the university, for those of you with the city that said we can't give up on the riverfront, we need to transform the riverfront. We're transforming the riverfront. From the Alumni Welcome Center down to the Leach Amphitheater, we now have a Riverwalk. And the Chancellor and I have talked about that the university is a downtown Oshkosh destination. It's not just the university, one area, and the city downtown in another area. We are one, and that's because of sharing a vision. But now our Riverwalk takes us all the way from the university down to the Leach, and we're connected to the statewide trail system. We're all connected, and we all see the advantages of those things. So thank you for sharing your vision with the community, for investing in the community, both here and with the foundation, with the hotel, with so much that you've done. Our partnerships work well because we work well together. So congratulations on a wonderful facility, and thank you for the partnerships we've had in the past and the continued partnerships we're going to have.
Just to add to that a little bit, right outside of the building toward the river, there's a park called the Steiger Park. And as we work with the city of Oshkosh to figure out how to deal with the boundaries, thanks to Mark and his staff, we were able to work out a way that the university will maintain that park. We will have a parking for users of the park will be in part of our lots here, and bridge tenders, and et cetera. But those are the kinds of things that we couldn't work out unless we had a good relationship. So thank you for that, Mark. As we look at the use of this building and what it does for the university, again, it's a front door type facility. And as we bring new students in to look at our university in their junior year generally, and then on through as they become alums, Vice Chancellor Petra Roeder has that as her charge here at the university. In other words, how do we bring students in? How do we provide the kinds of facilities and help and tools that they need? So, Petra, if you could come up and make a few comments about how this benefits our students.
I'm honored and pleased to provide remarks on behalf of Student Affairs and our students at this dedication ceremony for our new Alumni and Welcome Center. We are all very thankful for everything that everybody has done to make this possible, not only for our students presently, but our students for the past and in the future. Some of you may know that I am first generation U.S. citizen of German descent, and German was the first language that we spoke at home. And the word willkommen was one of the first words in my vocabulary. The German word willkommen means, it's what we used when people came through our front door and when they came to our home. The English word welcome is a derivation of willkommen. Willkommen and welcome are both friendly greetings of hospitality, to welcome someone, to accept with pleasure, and gladly receive their presence. Welcome is an expression of greeting to a newcomer or to a guest or just somebody that's returning home. Welcome also means giving someone happiness and pleasure. And how appropriate that this beautiful state-of-the-art building, the Alumni Welcome and Conference Center, is our front door and welcomes all to our campus. We will welcome prospective students and their families in this space. Admissions has a satellite office located on the other side of the building. Labor Day weekend, this place will be a stop for our new students and their families as they move in and begin their WOW, which is called Weeks of Welcome. How appropriate. And this will be the place that will welcome back our alumni to campus and welcome them back home. So we also welcome the opportunity to utilize this space to welcome back conferences and groups that we lost and that we had hosted years past in the old River Center that was literally washed out in the flood of 2008. So I say welcome you today, but this building says welcome each and every day from now and into the future. So welcome, and I'd like to thank everybody that made this a reality.
Thanks, Petra. This facility is also a building of pride for our employees, for our faculty, for our staff. And the use of this building as we try to reestablish facilities here that all of our staff can use, and in particular faculty and others as they teach our students. The leader of our academic affairs, Lane Earns, our provost and vice chancellor, is going to say a few words about how how our faculty and staff will embrace this facility and use it. So, Lane?
Actually, I'm not going to do that. I know my job is the last of a long list of speakers before the chancellor gets here, so in order to keep things brief, I don't recognize anyone, I don't thank any individuals, and I'm going to ask for contributions by the end of my little talk. So that's what I have planned for you this morning. So clearly from today's comments, you've been able to discern that this building represents the culmination of a variety of hopes and dreams, as well as very concrete practical usages that speak to us in dramatically different ways. For me, as the chief academic officer of the university, I look around for teaching and learning opportunities for our students, faculty, and staff. I see frames of the past, the present, and the future as we examine the transition from where we've been as a campus to where we're going. To me, this transition is best reflected in the move from our old general education program to our new university studies program. The Pollock House, our previous alumni center, and for years a gathering place for returning students, is now the home to our new University Studies program, which serves as a gathering place for our current students. And in turn, this lovely new structure helps serve as a front door to our campus and a portal to focus alumni experiences as they return to the university. Furthermore, this fall, when the community engagement segment of our new USP is unwrapped, scores of alumni will be playing an active role by mentoring and modeling civic engagement among our students in community experience projects. This tremendous commitment on the part of our alumni will facilitate learning while providing direct relationships between our past and present students and set in motion a continued cycle of engagement and connection into the future. There are many ways to give back, here you go, to UW Oshkosh for the education that one receives. One way is to reach into your pocket and give what support you can to a facility such as the Alumni Welcome Center that serves as a crossroads of a communication on campus. Another is to reach into your heart and contribute some of your precious time and experience as an active member of our University Studies program. Thank you for your support and your patience in listening to all of us today. Please enjoy the wonderful experience of exploring the AWCC, and by all means, take in the views of campus that have never been available here before and never been so stunning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lane. It's my pleasure to introduce our Chancellor, as you know, who's moving on at the end of August. And he and I have worked together for some 14 years, 14 plus. And the events, the buildings, the programs, all of us, all of the VCs here, vice chancellors, and the leadership here, the whole community is indebted to his leadership in bringing us here. It's about relationship building. It's how you get things done, as we all know. Working with the city, with the state of Wisconsin, with the community, developing that support and trust. That's vitally important. And when you have that, you may hit some roadblocks, but you can find a way to get there. It's persistence. And I think that's what I respect most about our chancellors. So without further ado, Chancellor Wells.
Thank you, Tom. Before I get to my prepared remarks, which will be a little longer than everybody else, that's my right, I think. I'll be a little more wordy than I usually am because I'm finding as I'm getting close to the retirement date, I'm reflecting more, so I'll even be wordier than I usually am. So please be patient. But I do want to start, before going through the prepared remarks, to start with Art. To start with Art Rastian, again, and thank him for the great leadership and the persistence and the creativity and innovation he has shown in leading this facility, the effort to build this facility. I want to also talk about Art in terms of our buildings and the architects and the builders we've had on the campus, particularly as we literally flipped the campus to the river. So when you think back to the Rec and Wellness Center, first facility that we took to the river, actually the initial plans were to have the Rec and Wellness Center attached to Culf, which I thought was not a very good idea, artistically otherwise. And so we talked the students into locating the Rec and Wellness Center in the river. And that's the first facility that really started to flip our campus to the river. It's received a national award as the best designed facility of the year of any facility in the country about 4 or 5 years ago. Over 1 million students have gone through that facility in less than 3 or 4 years, something of that sort. And that I like to refer to as our thoroughbred building. Then we built Sage, again, that moved the campus in a big, significant way to the river as well. And that's our Clydesdale. I meant the horses. Now we've built and now opened this wonderful facility, and this is our Arabian. It's smaller than the other two, but you know Arabians present in a beautiful way. The other thing I'd like to say about Art is if you look in your program, you'll notice a little description of the artwork in here. In the Berkowitz work, particularly in this room, which is now covered up by screens, but Leon Berkowitz is a nationally acclaimed artist, and these triptychs in here are called the Four Sequences. And they depict a study of Chicago's light. I'm sorry about that. I guess we should have made a study of Wisconsin's light. And then there are 12 paintings upstairs by Robert Swain, examine color as a phenomenological experience. Now, Del Wilson is to be credited with hooking us up with the Kohler Foundation, because as he was designing this facility, he's very aware of the work that the Kohler Foundation does. I don't think a lot of Wisconsinites are necessarily that familiar with them, but they've been around for quite a while, and what they do is they get art contributed to them, very, very good art, Wisconsin artists, as well as artists who have reputations, beyond the state of Wisconsin, and they restore that work, and then they gift it. It's a wonderful resource to get the arts throughout our public facilities. They'll gift to private colleges and universities and not-for-profits so that we can preserve art. So when Del told us about these works, another art theme, my wife, Christy Charbonneau Wells, sorry. She always makes me put it that way, but she got together with Del and the folks at the Kohler Foundation and went over and looked at the work they had that was available. And that's how we got these paintings and the one upstairs, and also a host of other things, an entire sculpture collection, that's another story, some of which is displayed down at the hotel. Again, Christy and Gail Pansky were on the point to getting that wonderful art of Oshkosh artists into the hotel, as well as some of this work from the Kohler Foundation. There's also more art to come, so one of the closing responsibilities that Christy has is to get some more art from the Kohler Foundation. And so anyway, I just wanted to make sure we mention that, because I think it's very important to pay attention to the aesthetic and the arts and humanities in a time that is particularly challenging and difficult for us economically, socially, politically. So I also want to thank all of you for joining us today as we head into another busy commencement weekend at UWO Oshkosh. After a lot of incredibly important planning and work with staff, our state officials, and donors, we gathered to commemorate the completion of another great facility at UWO Oshkosh. It is important to note that our UWO Oshkosh Foundation accepted the responsibility to fundraise more than 70% of the total value of this new building, making it the single largest capital gift from a Wisconsin comprehensive university to the state of Wisconsin. We've had the good fortune of cutting ribbons on lots of new buildings since 2000. It has become a kind of shared tradition and a proud one. This building will carry on the proud tradition of Cole Sports Center, Oshkosh Sports Complex, Reed Memorial Union, and the Greenhagen Conference Center. Each of these is a place where our university community, tens of thousands over the years of local high school students, alumni, is a constellation of economic development agencies, career fairs, hundreds of area employers, and athletes of all ages and ability connect, collaborate, compete, celebrate, and achieve. Whenever we celebrate an opening, it is also a standard practice that we wrestle with how to best explain what each property's unique role is, how it functions, how it serves our students, how it distinctively fits into our strategic plans and connects our mission and our community vision. Most of us know the answers to these questions. However, it is our responsibility to make sure our stakeholders do too. Already, we have heard this magnificent building referred to as a new front door for UWO Oshkosh. It is intended to be an easy access, can't-miss place for UWO Oshkosh alumni and visitors to convene, another hub where the campus meets the community. I would argue that there's a lot more to it than that. This Alumni Welcome and Conference Center has an even more fundamental purpose as one more, what community sociologists call, great good place for the people of Wisconsin. This place will serve as our campus and our region's new town hall. As in the town halls of our nation's past, this is a place for people to come together, to study, to try to solve the complex and critical issues of the day.
It is an island of understanding, a high ground, a safe harbor, in what can often seem like a sea of incivility. Here, people will not retreat to their corners, hunker down and tune each other out. They will gather, face one another, listen, and find common ground, especially on topics many consider charged or controversial. This great good place has already begun serving its purpose. Earlier this month, we co-hosted a forum on the state's biennial budget basics with the Citizens for Strong Oshkosh and Bob Lang, the head of our Legislative Fiscal Bureau. We also hosted the Wisconsin Department of Transportation Secretary Mike Gottlieb and the Transportation Moves Wisconsin Town Hall style meeting. The forum offered information on upcoming projects and welcomed citizen input. This place has hosted our Earth Week banquet, featuring Speaker Jeff Phillips of the Wisconsin Department of Health Services, where he shared thoughts on the impact of climate change on community health and wellness. An award-winning international authority on eco-municipalities drew members of the campus and the community in late April. Later this year, this place will host a conference on the Public Regional Comprehensive University. All kinds of stakeholders will gather to ask and examine concerns related to the critical role these nexus universities play in serving our democracy. These are just a few of the hundreds and hundreds of examples to come in the decades ahead. This place is not unlike the laboratory for ideas that the town halls of our nation's infancy served. Stately and striking places like Boston's Old State House, also known as the Townhouse, became arenas for democracy. They were places built for the people, where the words of the Declaration of Independence were first posted and shared. Places where challenging revolutionary ideas and the principles of free speech were exercised, tested, and honored. These great good places were so revered, they became public symbols of openness and freedom, where the individual is welcome to help the many achieve great things and celebrate achievements. That's what is already happening here. People will listen and be heard in a civil, inclusive environment and find solutions for our future so that we all may grow and our community and region improve. It is exactly how we should be using this position on our riverfront. As you can see, the people within this place enjoy and benefit from many river views. And I think that is an incredibly fitting metaphor for the good work to come inside this building. Is this place a new front door to our campus? Sure, as long as we remember that it's a door that is always open, never a barrier. It's a passageway, a gateway. This gateway will lead to knowledge and wisdom. I'm so grateful to those who have helped us build this great good place and the many tens of thousands of people who, for generations to come, will help demonstrate its incredible value to the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, to the city of Oshkosh, Wisconsin's event city, and to Wisconsin's New North region. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor. We, just a little bit of logistics here. We're going to have the ribbon cutting ceremony right after this, and location, Art? It's outside, okay? Thank you. On the river, how's that? And then we'll have a donor wall unveiling, Rose Legacy Society wall unveiling, and an open house. And I hope you can all stick around and enjoy the conversation. So thank you for coming and for participating in this wonderful event.